So I grew my pay-per-lead agency from 0 to 400K a month in 7 months. And I did it in the hardest vertical pretty much on the internet where clicks are the most expensive. So a lot of other people have pay-per-lead agencies. They do it in pretty easy verticals. This is extremely hard where clicks are some of the most expensive on the internet, and a category in which most media buyers can't even get ads approved unless they do black hat or gray hat shit. We did everything completely 100% white hat. And this is where Meta requires a special certification to even run ads in this industry. And one compliance mistake could have gotten all of our clients fucked, but we did it compliantly. So, we were able to essentially do the impossible. But I'm going to show you the entire machine and the way we did it, the way we got clients, which is a completely unique way. I've not seen one single YouTube video on this, on how to get clients the way we got it. This is a completely new method of client acquisition in terms of getting clients for any agency, because it wouldn't even work for an agency. It would only work for a pay-per-lead agency or a pay-per-lead company. And it was a directory website. But I'm going to show you the whole thing, right? The offer structure, the directory that got us there, the traffic system, the buyers, how all the pieces fit together, how we fulfilled the clients. I'm going to go through from A to Z, every single thing that we did, how it worked, what did this look like, the funnels, everything. I have a bunch of stuff here I would like to show you. But with that being said, the first thing you should understand, and may I preface with, is that most people in the pay-per-lead industry will never get to this point because of a couple of things. Most people who are running lead generation are running like marketing agencies, right? And an ad agency is just an offer, right? Like, it's just like you hear offer, right? It's just a service that you sell to one client at a time, right? You're trading your hours, or maybe you have a couple of employees, you're trading those hours for retainers. Retainers are inherently bad compared to pay-per-lead. Yeah, you can sell your agency, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really sells their agency, right? It's very, very few people sell their agency. You have to be extremely good at what you do to sell a marketing agency. And it has to be so dialed, which 99% of people on the internet who are searching for YouTube videos to, potentially better their agency are more than likely not, I know it sounds crappy to say, but more than likely not selling their ad agency, because it's fucking hard, right? That's why we're out here searching for information. It's like why I did too. So with that being said, you build campaigns that the client's going to own. When the client leaves, you have to keep searching for more, right? Every month you basically reset, and it sucks. So pay per lead is inherently a much better offer, right? Because when you sign somebody in as a client, you're basically asking them to take a huge risk, which you had to do all these ads. You had to go through this whole, maybe get a 10% close rate, whatever. It's a huge risk to them, to the client. But for pay-per-lead, it's inherently a better offer because it's on a pay-per-results basis. They only pay for leads that they would like to buy. They only pay for qualified leads. Marketing agencies are just supposed to generate them leads. So why would you not make the offer inherently better to your client? It's like, it makes the most sense literally this way. But it's just a very new model to the internet. It's been around for a really long time. It's not like this whole fucking new thing. I feel like a lot of people, make these crazy claims oh, this new model. No, this has been around. What I mean? There are pay-per-lead agencies everywhere, right? And leads have been sold since, the gladiator times. No, I'm joking. But I know this because I had a marketing agency. I had an SEO agency. I grew it, I sold it, and the day I did, I really understood something, and I realized that the agency itself was never the asset. The clients churned and burned. It was really hard for a really long time. The agency is still running to this day. I will plug that URL down below, so you guys can check it out. But the day I sold it, I really understood that the asset was always on the client side of the table and not ours. And I wanted to make sure that those assets that I was working all these hours for, was on my side of the table. And that's what pay-per-lead does for you. You know what I mean? So I will explain why. very, very shortly. So the reason why it's different and why I owned the asset is because the pay-per-lead business is different. It owns the brand, right? You own your brand, you own your traffic, you own the data, and it produces something that people will buy over and over, and it has value with or without you being in the captain's seat, right? That's what pay per lead is, right? You build the brand, you generate demand for the brand, and clients pay you for the output per lead, per call, per close deal, whatever it may be, right? And that shift takes you from being an agency owner who's making a couple grand a month, making 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, even 100 grand a month, to what I did, which was 0 to 400K a month in 7 months. And, there's going to be a link to book a call with me where you can learn more about my community. Me and my partner, we have a community with over 1,000 members in it doing pay-per-lead. I am just, this is my first YouTube video because I run the business. I don't make YouTube videos. So I would like to start making YouTube videos because I know content is important. So that's, essentially why I'm making this video. And I think that it will be an important asset similar to this asset to have for me in the future. So with that being said, this is going to be kind of a no bullshit full guide of how the pay-per-lead business works. So really, the main thing is you really need to diagnose the fact that agency owners and media buyers are stuck because of a couple of reasons. Problem number one, like I said, is that you don't own the demand. Problem number two is you can't convert cold traffic. And problem number three is you're wasting your best hours on the wrong people. So that even when all of these leads come in, most are unqualified, most have the wrong budget, most have the wrong intent. So you're burning and churning and going through all of this. And that's why this machine that I'm showing you here, this funnel here, is much better. Now, this machine has 4 different parts. You have right here, you have your offer ladder, right? So most people just sell leads, right, in pay-per-lead, but they don't sell calls, they don't sell admissions, or they don't sell, maybe not admissions, maybe it was appointments, or whatever it might be, right? This is the offer ladder, similar to how you have different offers in an ad agency. And the other thing is you need a good acquisition system. So how did we do this? How did you go from 0 to 400K a month? Well, first we built what's called the directories. So we made a website. This website was essentially like very similar to what recovery.com is. If you go look that up, recovery.com is just another directory website where they list all these addiction centers. So what we did was we were like, how can we generate demand? Because people pay to be on these directories. If you know, like, there's a placeformom.com, recovery.com. There's some insurance ones that do it. There's, some law firm ones that do it. You could do this in any vertical, in any niche. But the directory is your trust asset, right? People inherently will trust it. You look like a real brand more than just some 16-year-old kid in his, mom's basement. So for me, what I did was I made a directory website, right? Obviously, I didn't have traffic going to it at first, but we did start to generate traffic because, keep in mind, I had an SEO agency, so we knew what we were doing with the SEO. But what we did was we took all the listings from a bunch of different places. We found all these directory people like on directories, and we cold emailed them. And so we cold emailed every single center in the entire United States. And what we did was we said, hey, we made you a profile on our directory website, but we're not like the other guys. We're going to essentially give you a spot on our directory website for completely free. Okay, it's going to rank in AI search, and you're going to be way better off than all the other guys. Now, everybody's talking about AI search, but we did this months and months and months and months and months ago, okay? Because we knew that AI search was going to be a huge thing, and that was part of just being in the SEO business. So they were all like, oh my God, that's sick. But, what's the catch? Oh, well, you have to get on a call with us for 15 minutes to set up your profile. And then on that call, we would have a sales rep. That sales rep would upsell them leads, okay? So we use the directory as a Trojan horse to essentially get them onto a sales call where we could get sales call much cheaper than essentially anything else. So if you go run ads, we did end up running ads, but the directory was our asset. That was our brand, and it made us look so much better when people were already on there that they knew. So it was a very small industry where everybody knows each other. And so when people were on there that they knew, they immediately trusted us. Okay? And so that allowed us to, one, build a bunch of new programmatic pages in different states, which ranked in AI search. And then that brand searching, people would search up our brand and they'd be like, oh my gosh, they have a directory? Like, that's insane. You know what I mean? They must be huge. They must be trustworthy, right? And so like that's the big thing now is like there's a huge trust recession, and being able to do this, one, got us leads for cheap. We closed clients for extremely cheap. There was a huge demand for this product, and then at the same time we built a brand asset, right? And then on top of that, we took all of those emails, put them in a lookalike, and retarget them. Easy as that. Okay, like that, simply put, like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, okay, this is some secret like fucking mechanism. Like, no, that was it. Okay, so you cold email, you make a directory website, you retarget them on Meta ads, you retarget them on Google ads, easy as. Okay, so what after that, what we would do is have them put on the directory website, and then what we would do is we would meet with them to essentially sell them leads. So now they would get calls inbound for free from us, on top of the fact, because people would call into our directory and then they would click on their profile and they would call into the center. Now on each of those calls, we would make money. At the same time, we would also work with them one-on-one to generate them more leads, because it's not enough just to be on a new directory and get calls. And so what we would do is we set up a qualifying quiz, and we set up tracked phone calls that would go to a lead router, and that lead router would spit off to our buyers. Okay? Now, all you have to do in order to do this, in order to do the actual selling, is you need to build a list of people in email. You need to cold email them. You need to make a bunch of pre-call assets to send them before the call. So you've heard of a back-end selling system probably. If you're watching this, you've probably watched a ton of YouTube videos on this stuff. So you know what back-end selling systems are. You just send them a bunch of information on what you did for other clients, things like this. And then they're going to arrive pre-sold. If they're a fit call, it would go to a contract. They would become a buyer, and then we would make them revenue. So that was the goal. Make our clients a shit ton of revenue. And so we did that. We made our clients a shit ton of revenue, and then they kept buying more. So that's why we grew so significantly quickly, is because we did that. So now, what does this offer ladder mean? Well, some clients don't just want to buy leads. They want to buy calls. Now, you can't do pay per admit in addiction treatment. It's actually illegal. So we didn't do that. We just did pay per call, pay per lead. But there's also like pay per appointment, and like insurance, you could do pay per appointment. So like you could get a call center, and you make sure your call center calls up the leads for your clients and puts them on the calendar. It's like, oh, you know, I'll generate you 10 appointments or you won't pay. Like you see ads like that all the time, I'm sure. That's essentially what it is, except that a lot of those, they generate through like cold text message, which by the way is illegal. So, you know, you want to do things compliantly, just generate leads using Google or Meta ads. It's very, very simple to do. We teach this in our community on how to do this. But it's very simple, very effective. If you're like literally an okay advertiser, you can do this extremely effectively and make a shit ton of money. So now let's go through this funnel really quick here. So basically you have a bunch of people that click on your ads. Those are your clicks. There were a certain amount of people that landed on our directory. Then there were a certain amount of people that started the quiz. There were a certain amount of qualified leads we got. And then there were a certain amount that sold and delivered. Okay, so we ran ads. We had a funnel on our directory. And then the clients got leads that delivered. Okay, it's literally that simple. And so the metrics that we tracked was, okay, what's our ad spend per day? What's our cost per click? What's our cost per lead? What's our sale price per lead? What's our margin per lead? How many leads a day are we getting? What's our revenue per day? What's our revenue per month? You track those metrics religiously. then you will do really, really well. And so for the buyer math, right? So essentially, the way that you would look at this is like, okay, let's just put this here as you send 20K cold emails per day, which is what we did. And we blasted through our TAM in like 2 weeks. So you send 20K per day, you follow up with them again. Obviously, 20K can blast their TAM really quick. 20K per day. Let's just say you get a 1.5% reply rate, which is dog shit, but let's just say you cooked your domains because you don't know what you're doing, and it's probably what happened to you the first time. That will book you, I don't even know the math on this. It's going to be a ridiculous amount, though. You can guess if you send 20K cold emails a day. We would have 16 calls. We had 16 calls a day in an 8-hour shift for a closer booked consistently, and that is how you generate 400 grand in a month, is you fill a closer's calendar, right? It's pretty simple, but it's easier said than done, right? I get that. Then you get your contract signed, and typically one contract for us, they would buy on average 10 to 15 leads. But because in this industry it was so valuable, they were paying 1K per, because their industry, the insurance payouts are worth a lot. So essentially, like, okay, if they paid us 15K, they would make like 85 on an admission if they closed one out of the 15, right? So that was like so worth it for them. They would have paid double. So like it's a weird niche like this where like the math worked out really well like for a while, and that's why this all works. But simply put, what you do is you generate leads to get buyers. Buyers pay you for calls or leads. I inherently think calls are much better than leads, and I like selling calls better. I sell calls right now in other verticals. Calls are much better because they have this thing called the 90-second buffer, where essentially you might not get paid for the call sometimes. However, your clients are going to close more calls than just a lead form. So it balances out much better. And selling a client on a call, it's like, hey, do you want inbound phone calls on a pay per results basis? It makes way more sense for the client, obviously, right? They're going to say yes to that over a lead, right? And it would take some serious, like, you'd have to change my thinking quite a bit to think differently. But I do still think selling leads is very good as well. But with that being said, okay, you run ads to get buyers, you cold email to get buyers, you put them on the directory website as the Trojan horse. You take that Trojan horse, you have this huge trust asset right here, right? Then you send traffic to your trust asset because it's trustworthy, and now consumers will trust it more because it's a real brand. Your leads will convert at a higher percentage for your clients. Your clients will convert the leads more. They'll be happy with you. Then boom, again, they buy more leads. So on a pay per lead model, let's just do the math here. If your client pays you 10K for, let's just say you are in a different vertical than I was in insurance. They pay you 10K for, this might be 100 leads at 100. So you sell, let's just say, you sold 100 leads for 100, right? You get paid 10K. Okay? So 10K times, let's just say the average like premium or whatnot is 1,500 that they make. So, or it would be like 235 upfront profit on the policy. Like it's like something like that, like 300 to 500 maybe. But you have 10K, then you have, okay, 10K, what is that now? 10K divided by 100 equals $100 per call. You generate the calls for 45. So now you make 55 per call. So you generate $5,500 in profit for selling 100 calls. Okay? So 55 in profit for selling 100 calls. If they have a 10% close rate, okay, that means that they close 10 leads. So 10% close rate means that they close 10 leads. Now, depending on what that profit on the policy was, let's just assume it was only $1,000, right? Let's just assume that at a conservative number. Okay, well, you have $1,000, you're 10%. So 10 times 1,000 is 10, is what? Yeah, so that's 10K. So at the very worst, and they're only making $1,000 profit, which I'm 99% sure I'm like so undershooting this right now, you're going to have a minimum they make their money back. And at best, let's just say it's 1,500, they're going to make 50, they're going to make 5 grand. If it's 2K, I'm just saying they only make 2K profit. They also get this yearly. So recurring, they're going to make this when they order calls. So it's like, what a better offer. You know what I mean? Like, what a better way of doing business. And people trust you more. So this is essentially how I grew my marketing agency, my pay-per-lead agency, from 0 to 400K a month in 7 months. If you would like to learn more about this, click the link in the description to join Pay-per-lead Nation, and we'll show you more about this strategy and what we do. And let me know if you have any questions about it in the comments, what video I should make next. I know this was very cut and dry and simple, but I'm just getting used to YouTube too. And I would also like some suggestions on like how to be a better YouTuber. So if so, please leave that in the comments as well. Thank you.